another episode of This Week in Events for Friday, 29th of August with Paul Richardson.
Hi Bob, hi Jill.
And of course Jill Hawkins, back
Hello.
from a little holiday.
Hello, both of you. How you doing?
Oh, right, yeah.
Good, thanks. Yeah, good.
So you ready to have a little chat about what's happening in the news?
Yeah, it's been quite a good week. Shall I put myself forward first?
Yeah,
Why
keep looking
not?
at me like that. Don't do that. Yes. Why don't you start
I will.
so you don't look at me like that?
I normally push Paul forward, don't I? But
You do
thought
indeed.
I'll be
Yeah.
very nice and go first. Well, I actually stole Paul's idea for this one. I'm sorry. But Christina O'Connell from Mash Media has published a venue trends white paper this week, and it is pretty marvelous, I have to say. She I'm always skeptical about white papers, about the robustness and the breadth of the people actually responding. I've seen white papers that have been 2 or 3 respondents made into something bigger. Not this one. This one's brilliant. She's gone to 57 venues across the breadth of the UK and asked some really interesting questions. Pulling together all the information, she's pulled together some trends, obviously. And the first one I wanted to talk about was well, there were 3 trends that I wanted to talk about. The third one I will segue nicely into Paul's article he wants to talk about. The first one is lead times. 73% of venues are reporting shorter lead times. Now, lead times have been getting shorter for decades. Ever since I fell into the industry in the 90s, we've always been talking about, oh, short lead times, short lead times. Where's it going to end? Can they get any shorter? How are we going to be seeing events, RFPs for events next week? You know, surely there's got to be a sweet spot where they can't get any shorter.
Yeah. How, considering that we've got it's been reported in the press. How accurate the press are reporting this, I don't know. But there's a lot of venues around the UK that are finding times really, really tough and they're having to close. Do you think that these short lead times, people are taking advantage in some way?
Oh, possibly. I mean, I don't think any corporate or any agency purposely has a short lead time. I don't think they sit there and think, right, I know we can get a good deal. I think it's because corporates who have the budget at the end of the day are still being a little bit undecided about what they want to do. And is that because of COVID? Is that because of just the way the world is now? I'm not sure. What do you think, Paul? Do you think that the world's becoming a little bit more uncertain, so people are becoming less likely to book in advance?
I mean, there could be some of that, but yeah, having been around this industry as long as you, the one thing that's always been, yeah, I'm nearly as old as you, Jill. Is
Nearly.
is that we all remember the continual conversations about deadlines and about foreshortening of deadlines and everything from booking the event to placings of contracts to amount of build up and breakdown time, so shortening of those kind of things, and we just seem to be in a time compressed environment from every direction. It doesn't just seem to be the lateness of booking. However, from the supplier side, because we've got quite a few clients on the event supply base across the broadest spectrum, so conferences, live exhibitions across the board, are all saying that their delivery of their order times, inquiry times, delivery times are collapsing. So much so, talking to one client a couple of weeks ago, and they were waiting, that the event organizer was waiting until the night before the event set up to decide whether they wanted them on site to do something.
That's
Now,
shocking.
well, it is, bearing in mind how much prep has to go into getting the services and products ready to go onto site. So there's a prep time for that. And eventually our client had to turn around and say, got to axe that, can't do it, sorry. And then there was a big, oh, well, that's not fair. So
Wow.
yeah, there's a lack of understanding in that in terms of what foreshortening of these kind of times does. And for venues, it's going to be the same. If people are waiting right until the last minute, then you get well, we couldn't have this, or we can't have that, or this is, you haven't given us this resource or this access or this service, when the venue may need and have a requirement to prepare over a period of time for that event to happen. So yeah, I mean, I'll say, I mean, it sounds like I'm having a real good whinge, which I am. Again, it's my daily whinge, my weekly whinge. But it seems across the industry, it's something you see popping up in chat groups and things like that. Nobody's got enough time. Everything's done. That kind of fast pace, and you don't have time to put your head up and plan because it's all reactionary. It's all now.
Is it an unreasonable expectation because they don't know any better? So on the corporate side, they're going, oh, well, let's have an event. We'll get all the sales team together. We'll have a lovely time and have a nice big corporate meeting. And then obviously they've got different layers of management who need to sign off on things. But are they actually aware of what actually goes into creating an event? So they wouldn't then necessarily wait so long, because if they knew what was involved, the timescales and the planning. So there's a little bit of education coming from event planners back into it. I mean, is the industry itself not very good at showing the outside world what actually happens inside an event? Is there a lack of education going on?
I think you're right in that there has to be that up management in a way, doesn't there? And also that education. And, when do we get to the point where suppliers just, as Paul said, just turn around and say, no, we can't do it. Sorry. I was hearing from a registration company the other day that's saying, yeah, we're getting really short notice that, and, they've had to turn business away because they just couldn't do it at the last minute. And then what happens then? The
It
organisers don't get a very good event.
it also makes you, I mean, it's a real good point, Jill, because it also means not only do they not get a very good event, what happens to those organizations that are banking on some of those events coming in, and they have to turn them down because they can't physically get their services out? Then they have a drop in revenue. Does that mean then they lose people, or do they? I mean, ultimately, I suppose the worst case scenario is, do they go out of business, and that's another supplier out of the chain? And with venues, the venue time slots, because the one thing that I suppose supply chain's got its fleet of foot. It can change it can swap to try and fit something else in to try and build revenue. If you're a venue, you can't do that. You've got bricks and mortar and space, and if you miss that window of opportunity,
It's
then
gone.
what do you?
Yeah,
It's gone.
you can't sell it. It's not, you can't keep it, can you? It's not like inventory that you can then sell a different day. It's a time slot, isn't it? But something that I know that we've chatted about before is mental health and the mental health of the organisers. That can't be, that's not a good thing, is it? The sheer last minute nature of everything has got to impact on the mental health of the organisers. We're not looking after people by expecting them to just do everything at such a pace, at such last minute.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, how does an agency cope when they've got a bunch of people saying, but we need to do this next week? How do you filter, or how do you say to these people, like, we'll do you and we can do you, but we can't do you, because that might be the end of repeat business. It must be so difficult.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that was one of the other, just moving on to one of the other points that came up in the venue trends white paper, was venues are reporting an increase in repeat business, which I thought was really interesting. And does that mean that venues are getting better at building customer relationships? And actually, do the two things go together? That if as a agency or a corporate, you're working with a venue, the venue, actually you could book last minute because you know the venue really well. But then is that almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that because you know the venue, you can book last minute and the venue will take you on because you're a known customer?
Is that repeat business being driven by the event planner or by the client?
Good question. I'm not sure. You would hope a bit of both. You would hope, there's advantages, there's huge advantages for both, aren't there? That, you've got that relationship, you've got that rapport, you understand what the needs are for the event. But I hope that we're seeing a move away from the, oh, shiny and new, let's go over there, let's try there. That there's actually some relationship, that the venue is being brought into the relationship now, rather than just being a transactional provider of space. But I thought those two
Yeah.
linked quite nicely together.
Yeah. Oh, well done, Christina, for getting creating this report there. Is driving conversations, important ones.
Definitely. But the third point, and I won't go on about this too much because I know time-wise, immersive tech. There's a growing demand for immersive events, but venues aren't investing in this type of tech. And this led on to Paul's story that he picked up as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I wrote, I picked up was location-based entertainment. The drive and the expansion of location-based entertainment. And again, with quite a lot of these news items, they do seem to be picking a reason for a peak or an identifying something in a gradual trend anyway. That more and more people, particularly in the younger age groups, are looking for an experience and multi-sensory stimulation in going to things rather than just walk around and look, which kind of then starts to bring you onto the B2C exhibition market. And how does that adapt? And is it adapting quickly enough to keep up? And this is, again, yeah, these things keep getting wrapped up with reports and things that are produced. And ta-da, what a surprise. Well, if you think that, go back to the days of the launch of experiential marketing, which essentially I've always viewed it as sexy sampling. Take your product out to the marketplace, put it in the hands of people. Well, how do we make more money out of sampling? Well, let's polish it, let's turn it around a bit, and let's call it experiential. We can stick an extra 10 grand on the bottom of the bill. But it's evolving sampling into something else. And is that how B2C events, and particularly B2C shows and exhibitions, are they going to have to adapt? So are customers going to be willing to go and walk around rows and rows of shells scheme and look and feel and touch, or do they want to actively be engaged? Now, there are some organisers who are well down the road on that, who've got real participatory stuff going on at their shows. But it's interesting how it's whether you lose that beautiful item within an exhibition or an event like that, which is the serendipitous moment when you encounter something you weren't expecting by walking around, turning a corner, smelling something, hearing something. If you're bolted into a virtual world with a VR headset on doing stuff, you're not engaging with your surroundings. That I see might be a stumbling block.
But does immersive actually mean immersive as in VR headset and headphones on, or actually could it mean walking around an exhibition hall then feeling, oh wow, we've just entered a wonderland, this is beautiful, look at the dressing, look at the activities, or even with the onset of venues that are not just exhibition spaces, the likes of Excel, the likes of the Barbican, the likes of Olympia, they are very much, you've got the event space, but then you've got restaurants, you've got theatres, you've got cinemas, you've got gig halls, you've got everything around. So actually, are the clever organisers not just looking after what's going on in the hall, but actually encouraging people to, whilst you're here, why not tag on a theatre trip or have a brunch over there and actually embrace the surroundings as well?
It doesn't help when we're actually bending terms. I mean, the whole idea of an immersive event, to my mind, is like we'll say, you turn a corner, and next thing you know, you've discovered something wonderful. The smells, the noise, the lights, it's all around you. But we also use the term immersive for immersive environments where you put on a headset. So whether it's a problem with the words we're using, the definitions that we're using, or because everybody's going to have their own idea of what it means.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to what Paul said about when experiential first sort of came about, I was doing a lot of work with a leading experiential agency back in sort of early 2000, and some of the stuff they did was amazing, from the Innocent Village Fete to creating huge areas for children to play in because they were sampling sweets, but mum being gatekeeper, all sorts of things like that. And creating little festivals, creating little environments, and not a headset in sight. But it was properly immersive because you've got that person, that child or whoever, in an you've created an environment for them, without the need of a headset, without the need of VR. It's actually physically there. It's not virtual.
It doesn't help that headsets are still really expensive and out of the
Mm.
reach of just about everybody. So the whole idea of everybody being issued a headset for a special virtual event, yeah, unless someone's got very deep pockets, that's just not going to happen.
And actually, I think putting a headset on is really, it limits. It brings you into your own world. You're not connecting with other people.
Well, even
You're
if you can see other people, I mean, if you're going to be amongst people, but you're not
not.
really there because you've got a headset on, then what's the point of putting the
Yeah,
headset on? I mean,
yeah.
it's just
What's the point of you being there? What's the point of you being with all these other people if actually you're in your own world? Because even if you can see other people, you don't know if they're real or not. They could be real, they could be part of the experience.
thankfully it was a really sort of new, bright, shiny toy about what, 2 years ago? That's gone away now. No,
Yeah,
nobody's talking about virtual reality or augmented reality. That's just something that's just gone away. I
yeah.
think Facebook's probably the only company who's actually still trying to push it as a thing, or maybe Apple as well. But the whole idea of having a bunch of people with headsets on, interacting with each other. Well, yes, you can do it in a hall or you can do it at home, but it's still too expensive. So
Yeah, yeah,
let's get on
Mm.
with sort of seeing people,
yeah.
But
in the same room.
yeah, it does kind of, it's when you look at what are the most memorable parts of um, events in the broadest sense, it tends to be the human interactions you have with other people. Those are the bits, the takeaways. I mean, I've stood on so many exhibition stands. I hate to think about it, and the bits that I remember, and not so much the things going off. It was who I met, what was said, the conversations. Those are the things that kind of lodge in your mind that you then take forward and and do all the things. I don't remember having an experience thrust upon me, shall we say, that's lodged in my mind that I think, well, that was great. I plugged myself into this. Even so much as like they're talking about VR enhanced escape rooms and things like that. Is it the experience that taps into your soul that makes you connect with it, or is it the people you're there doing it with, or the people you meet?
The people you're shouting at as you get it wrong and get locked in.
Yeah. Well, I think the test is, do you get, so if you're in a crowd watching your favorite band perform on stage and you're surrounded by people, can you get that same experience by being in a virtual space with a headset on
No,
with virtual people around you?
no, I
You
can't.
you
I that
can't. You
but
can't
then I
imagine it, can you?
but then I get annoyed watching a gig through everybody else's phone. That if
Yeah.
the people in front of me are holding their phone up and recording it, and I'm having to watch the lead singer on that stage through the phone, that really annoys me, and I will move because I don't want to watch it through a phone. I don't want to watch
Well,
the screen. I want to watch the stage.
maybe, but then again, if you've got one of those, if you found yourself at the back and they look like really, really tiny, maybe the zoom function on your phone is really, really useful. That's the only way you can see them.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to, there's two other things I want to get mentioned. Let's start with, we can just hit this briefly. So Northstar has been bought up, which is
Interesting.
interesting. So they've been bought by JTB Corporation, one of Japan's leading travel solution providers. This was mentioned on, this came through on email
Yes,
from
I
North
got an
Star.
email this morning. It was only this morning. Yeah, interesting. And this is North Star across the world, UK and America, I assume.
I believe so. It keeps
Yeah.
talking about North Star as a singular thing, not a particular part of. So I guess it's the whole company.
That's interesting. One, that it was for sale, and two, that it's been bought by a Japanese.
Well, just to be clear, I'm not sure it's explicitly saying that they've either been bought up or this JTB has got a majority holding. I don't know. But it's interesting that Japan has gone, oh, we like what's happening in America.
Absolutely.
And the other news item is, again, kind of really interesting, is the fact that Excel, which again is owned by a foreign entity, Dubai-based company. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure somebody will correct me. Their long-delayed expansion has finally happened, and they're experiencing a large surge of North American business.
Because the other way round, we're seeing a low intake of companies going to America, aren't we, and holding their events over there. You know, that's been spoken about a lot in the press, that people just aren't willing to go over there at the moment just because of the uncertainty and because of visa restrictions, and just not feeling very welcome, I guess.
Well, it makes you wonder, did Northstar go the investment into Northstar, whether they've invested or bought it, is it sort of like at a really good price now because of what's been happening around the world? And if Excel are now experiencing a lot of North American business, I mean, that might tie up into a trend.
Yeah, be interesting, won't it, to see how that is. That just London? Is that just Excel? Is that across London? Or are we going to see more across the UK of people coming over here? Be
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah,
it's
we should look
reported
into
on
that.
the Skiff Meetings website, and it does have some images, and I think they're more renderings than anything else, but it looks impressive. The balconies look nice, and it looks like they've actually got some solar panels on the roof, which is good.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the pictures now, actually. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. Um, it's nice to see. It's always nice when something is actually finished and you available and you can, it's more event space. So,
I
um,
thought it was big enough as it is, but now they've added to it. I mean, wow.
7,000 attendees in the conference facility.
I meant to have done this before, but I would love to see what it compares to, like a small town, large village. I mean, it's immense.
It's what I'm looking forward to seeing is that we're down exhibiting at Event Tech Live in November, whether this year we're going to be able to walk down the side of the
Oh,
docks to
yeah.
get in, rather than the hideous obstacle course and traffic dodging exercise that you've had to do for the last couple of years while they've been building it. I mean, I know they have that, but the pedestrian management's been really a bit rough on people staying in the hotels to the east of the venue, compared to the west. So those it just meant you had some fairly interesting walks back early evening and even late evening back through that area. So if that continuation of the walkway from Newham goes down through the opposite the airport, you can take that walkway to get in. That would make exhibiting so much more pleasant if you're staying in the hotels on the east. Just
My
to
only
nip back,
problem.
so okay,
Sorry?
just to nip back to the point about JTB, which you mentioned earlier. I've
Oh
just
yes.
dragged up an article from Business Wire, and apparently it's the JTB Corp, one of Japan's leading travel solution providers, has signed a definitive agreement to acquire Northstar from investment funds managed by Eagle Tree Capital and its co-investors. As part of the transaction, Northstar will operate as a wholly owned independent subsidiary of JTB and will continue to be led by its existing management team, including CEO Jason Young. So it looks to some degree as it will be business as usual,
Well, it's
Yeah.
nice
but
to see
under
it's
new
business as
ownership.
yeah, it's nice to see it's business as usual, but even more interesting that it must have been at a good price.
Yeah, and the I'm going to do this man no favors whatsoever. Ijiro Yamakita, who's the president and CEO of JTB Group, said Northstar brings outstanding expertise, fresh perspectives that perfectly align with our strategic vision. By operating Northstar as an independent subsidiary, we preserve their neutral market position while creating a powerful platform for delivering superior customer experience. We're confident the structure will unlock significant growth potential while contributing to the innovation and future growth of the travel industry.
Interesting.
And considering that the Northstar uses Excel media,
Yeah, nice little link there back. So
yeah,
that
yeah, good segue, isn't it?
definitely.
I need to practice it more often. But yeah,
So,
well, it's good for them. It's good for Northstar to see they've got some, obviously it's investment, and this Japanese company actually sees it as a worthwhile thing to do. They can see a future for it
yeah,
and growth. Otherwise, they wouldn't bother. And with Excel getting bigger, it'd be nice to see if Northstar actually, or the new Northstar, as it were, actually takes full advantage of a much larger Excel.
yeah, yeah. It's positives though. I think we've ended on quite a nice positive across
Yeah.
the industry, haven't we? With new space opening and
Yeah.
new ventures.
The thing is, I'll be
It,
much happier if Excel could actually have some sort of monorail now. I mean, considering just how much bigger it is and how long it takes to walk from one end to the other, can we have transport links inside the building?
you're just getting old, Bob. It's good for you. Get your steps in.
Yeah, absolutely. Or do we have segways that we can go? That would be great fun. Segways up and down Excel.
Have they got a rollerblade ban? Have they got a rollerblade ban in Excel at the moment? Because that would be a hoot, wouldn't it? Tearing down the central
just general roller
concourse.
skates or skateboards or something. I don't know.
That would be fun. Yeah, what if we get chucked out?
Probably.
I want a Segway. That's it.
I think you should pop that into Jeremy Reese's suggestion box. Segways or e-scooters.
Well, considering they've actually done Formula E going through the building and around it, maybe we could have Segway races.
Or the rickshaws that you see in central London in Soho going up and down.
Oh, the ones with the loud music and all the flashy lights. Yeah, I can imagine them racing up and down.
Yeah,
you talked about things being more immersive. Come on, this would be what a way to arrive at meeting show.
Oh yeah, nothing better than watching a bunch of rickshaws actually having a crash. Bodies everywhere.
You'll both be amazed to hear that up here in the Peak District, rickshaws still haven't caught on.
Too hilly. You'd end up killing a few people, wouldn't you?
Could be. I'm just thinking about one poor rickshaw driver that picks me up and I say, take me to Glossop, and he has to go up Winnett's Pass, which is incredibly steep. The poor rider would have heart failure halfway up.
Yeah, but the thing is, just imagine coming back down again.
But anyway, you'd be able to smell brakes.
Oh, well, brilliant. Smell something. Anyway, I think we better end it there before we get ourselves into trouble. So thank you for your time again, guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks for hosting.
Thanks guys.
Thanks for making me laugh.
Right. Have a good weekend, everybody. See
Have
you
a good
week.
one. See you soon. Bye. And cut.
This Week in Events is a production for the EPN Journal podcast. Huge thanks to our patrons, partners and industry friends for helping to make this possible. Details of how you can be a patron are in the show notes and on the EPN Journal website. Thanks for listening.